Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Again, as normal, I have a lot of stuff on my flat leveling table here. We are going to be making another turtle. We've done this in the past. We're going to do another one. I made one for somebody. They really liked it. Someone else saw it, and now the person I made the first turtle for wants me to make one similar to the one they have for this other person, and they're going to give it to them as a gift, which is really cool. Now, I need to preface this. I try and tell people sometimes, I don't always remember, that I can't duplicate what I make when it comes to resin pieces. And anyone who's worked with resin, any of you, know that you are not going to be able to duplicate unless you're making things at the exact same time and pouring things the exact same way, and so on and so forth. I've gone through and I've picked out some of the florals I'm going to be using in this piece. I was very fortunate a while ago to have gotten all kinds of stuff from my sister from a dried flower perspective, and they just keep continuing to dry. And these are what I have picked out for us to put in, and I need to move some of the glitter type things so that you can see. Put our turtle off to the side. Okay, so we've got some different things in here, and if you put in the comments, so what is flower X? I have no idea. That's not my area of expertise. That would be my sister's. Anyway, we have some of this white stuff, which, if I'm not mistaken, actually turns green when you put it into the resin. And then we have some purple flowers, and we have similar in pink and white. And then I have, I think, the straw something or other. there you go. Straw something or other flower. Again, I don't know this stuff. I really don't. And then I thought maybe some of these pieces, as everything sticking together, would be cool in it. And I want to get that off. I don't like having sort of odd pieces. So anyways, these pretty pieces. And then I have some even smaller pretty pieces. And these guys seem to have in them a little, it's either a flower or it's a seed that looks purple. So these are what we're going to be working with. The other thing we're going to do, put these back in here, get that off to the side. The other thing we're going to be working with is in the one I had made for the first person, I had put some of these beads, and I had done these in the feet. I'm calling them feet, fins, yeah, and the head. So we're going to do some of that initially. Now, we're going to have to do this in a couple of stages, and I've got some glitter we're going to put in with this as well. I have to sort of work in stages doing this, and as I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, Natalie, when it comes to the feet, fins, whatever, I don't know what they're called. I don't know the technical term. I call them feet, fins. We'll be able to do the head, and then we'll be able to get some of the body done, or the shell done. I'm going to let it sit and set up a little bit, and then carry on with doing the feet, fins, and what have you, because I don't want what I put in here or in the back here floating down into that section. I want them to stay where I need them to stay. The head, we can do some of that right now, because if I don't do it, I'm going to run into a problem trying to do it later. So we'll do the head. We'll do some of the shell area to get it up to pretty much level with sort of the top here, just where it starts to go into these. And then once it's set up for about 3 hours or so, I'll go back in and we'll add some more of these beads. The coloring that we're going to do from a glitter perspective, and I don't have a clue. I don't write this stuff down, what I put into people's pieces, because I like to think they're unique, one of a kind. And if the girl had said, well, I want it identical to what you've already done for me, I'd say, I can't do that. Just, I can maybe come close, but I don't remember everything I put in it because it was that long ago. Anyway, hemway. We're going to use some of this pink glitter. We're going to use some of this because it sort of reminds me of ocean, and I absolutely love it. So we're going to put a little bit of that in, not a lot. When it comes to the glitter on these pieces, I don't want that overtaking, and we're going to use some of the Atlantis because I thought they'd kind of be cool colors, working not only from a seed perspective, but with my flowers that I'm going to be putting in as well. But again, we're not going to put a lot in. This turtle takes about 13.1 fluid ounces. I figured I would make up 200 mils to start with, and then if I have some extra left over, I'll fly around the room and try and figure out what I can put it into. We'll get that done, and I probably won't keep you around for all of it. Then when I come back to finish it up, I'll bring you back, and then obviously for the demolding. But we'll go through some of it just to remind you of some tips and tricks to alleviate as many as possible of your air bubbles, because we know when we're working with beads and flowers, you're going to get them. We can use some alcohol on them to kind of work on that, but you're going to have to be careful. So I'm going to take off, mix up my resin, then we'll come back and we will start to put this together. I believe we are ready to rock and roll with this. I've got some of my beads in here and I've got some of my glitter. So we're just going to pour a little bit in here. I also have one of my measuring cups that I feel I am going to be putting some of the resin into. And that measuring cup, the reason I want to use it is so it's easier for me to put the flowers in, get them covered properly with resin, and then put them into the turtle. That's sort of my thought process on all of this. And I'm sure you understand why I'm covering up that resin is so that I can keep the, dust that I know exists in my world out of it to the best of my ability. Yeah. So we're going to work on putting some of these beads in the head. I will be pouring some of the resin some of the clear resin in the bottom of this so that I can, again, maneuver it around. I just really feel that's a helpful thing to do. Now, I know when I did that before, I had lifted it up in order to keep that in there. Now, thinking. Well, let's get some of them in there and then I'll rethink. That's what happens when you do it, and then it's a long time before you do it again and go, oh, how do I do that now? What did I do last time? I'm famous for that. Famous. I am just wondering about take some of this resin, just a little bit on mine. It's not going to matter if I get resin in places. And with doing this actually might work cool. I'm sorry. I'm kind of getting sidetracked as I'm doing this. Putting the next layer of resin in before the first is completely set is helpful to avoid, I think, getting lines between the resin, if that makes any sense, because the first layer isn't completely set. So things are sort of melding together. All right. Now, I do need to lift this up, and I'm just looking around. I hadn't thought about that. Just something to keep it, maybe one of these will work. Just something to keep it sort of up so everything's not running back down and in. And if I'm sort of doing this sort of backwards, I'll figure that out pretty darn quickly. Let go. No, it's not wanting to let go of my these gloves. I'm going to have to get a new pair of gloves out. These ones are getting way too slick. Let go. There you go. And I want to do my bestest to sort of make an even number of blue and green in the head to the best of my ability. And I'll sort of swirl them around a little bit. Yep, let go. It's too funny. They're sticking to my spoon. And always remember too that we're working upside down, so you're going to want to make sure that these don't matter how these end up going in. But what I'm saying is that when we're putting the flowers in, we need to make sure we put them upside down so that they look right when you take it out of the mold, or you, if you're doing one as well, that you get the flowers the right way up, unless you're sort of doing like an Addams Family thing and you want it reversed so that it's the bottom that has all the coolness to it. And I know I'm dating myself. If you know who the Addams Family is, I'm talking the original Addams Family from the 60s and 70s. I'm not talking about the newer Addams Family. No, I'm going way back. I'll even date myself more. Gilligan's Island. I used to come home from school and watch that growing up. The Flintstones, yeah. If you know who I'm talking about, and depending on what country you're from too, that'll make a difference. Because I'm sure some countries you won't know, even though I am dating myself, what some of these shows are. But yeah, Flintstones, Gilligan's Island, the Addams Family. Yeah. Okay, I'm just sort of rolling this around a little bit. Just to kind of, and I could squeeze it a little bit just in case there are any bubbles in there. And there, you know what, when I'm working with this type of stuff, and I might have to put some more in there. Like, I appreciate the fact that, I don't think those are going to roll out. No. I appreciate, oh, now I've totally lost my thought. Okay, never mind. When it comes back to me, I'll let you know. Yep, totally lost it. All right. The other thing I'm going to be using is one of these that has the rounded edge on them, because I don't want to be using anything sharp in this. And I'm just going to go up the sides. Get a little bit of that resin moving around. Alrighty. So what we'll do now, we'll start, we'll put some of this resin in my mixing bowl here, or my measuring cup, which I should have warmed up a little bit. Because it's, I know I'm probably introducing air bubbles because it's not warm, and I should have warmed it up. I remember my mom, whenever she had her get-togethers, her parties and whatnot, she would always heat up her teapot or coffee pot with hot water, because then when you put the hot liquid in and it wasn't cooled down because of the temperature of the pot. And I should have done that because this is glass. So that's, if you can remember to do that, warm it up. It doesn't have to be super warm, just warm it up a bit so that when you put in your resin, it's not going against cold. Okay, so that's a tip for you. And as I said, we're not putting a lot of the glitter in because I don't want that overpowering. I want you to be able to see it, but I don't want it to take over at all. And we're putting in the 3 colors for the flowers because of the fact that there's the different colors. I think this will look pretty. So we'll get a couple going, and finish doing this up. And I might add, so I can finish doing it up. Finish your thought, Natalie. Finish doing it up, and then I can bring you back. Okay, so let's get these over here. Hopefully not too much stuff from left to right to end out. So I wanted to think, where do I want to start? I think what I might do is I'm going to take, I think, one of these guys. One of these straw whatevers they are. Okay, and we'll start with one of these. And I think I'm going to put it right in the center of this. Now, I'm not too worried about the fact that I've just put clear resin in the bottom of this, because this is going to, like, the resin's going to sort of flow out of this flower. So we'll have glitter. I'm not worried about that at all. Because the glitter or the resin that's in this, it's got the glitter, is going to flow out of this flower. So this is where the time consuming comes in. This is where the patience is going to have to come in. I may take more time than the average person, but that's only because I don't want to introduce, I want the air bubbles in this container. I don't want them in my turtle. And that would be the same for any project that you're putting something like this in. To me, you know, have your air bubbles in this, not in the actual piece you're doing. Yeah. Okay. Oops, so I've got some of that flowing back, so I'm going to have to lift this up. I'm trying to think, and hopefully it wasn't what I did with the last one. I don't think I did. I didn't think I'd done the head first. I can't remember. But you know what? It's all good. All right, let's get this out of here. Let's let it drain. Oops. I knew that was going to happen. I'm just going to put this in the center. Okay, it's falling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on putting some pieces around it. I think I'm going to use some of these guys. Because I don't really want it tipped. I want it to sort of be level, if you will. So we're just going to throw some of these guys in. Some variety of the different colors. There we go. And we'll get them to sort of help support this guy. All right. So I am going to carry on, because this is just going to, you know, maybe get a little boring for you. With these guys, again, let them sit and soak a little bit. I know we don't have a lot of work time with our resin. I can appreciate that to no end, but we just want to make sure that we get things covered properly. Let the air bubbles play in this pot. And go from there. So I'll continue on with this, and I'll bring you back once I have it filled the way I want it to be, okay? I'm just bringing you back briefly. I'm going to give you some really good tips. And if you got pen and paper, take these notes down, because they're really important to know about. I mixed way too much resin up when I was working on this. Don't do that. Just don't. what ended up happening was my resin started to heat up, and if I'm fortunate, this will not flash cure, but it was getting hot. Only mix up what you think you need. You can always mix up more and carry on. So that's tip number 1. Trust me, learn from me. I didn't waste it. I ended up pouring it into another piece that is off to the excuse me, the far side here, but definitely thick when I was doing it. Don't do that. Just don't. Learn from me. Now, because things heated up way too fast, this measuring cup is no good to me anymore. I could not, for love nor money, get this cleaned out. Things were just setting up. It's a mess. It's ruined. I guess if you're going to mix up a lot and you're not going to work with it very quickly, then don't use a container that you know you're going to want to use in the future, because now I'm down one of my 500 ml containers. I can use this for I don't know what, but yeah, just don't. just don't. You should see me scrambling. Oh my God. You would have been killing yourself laughing if you'd seen the way I was scrambling. The other thing, if you are doing videos and you happen to, like I do, have your mics attached to your shirt, don't turn away suddenly, because I normally, when I start working off camera, I take the mics off of my shirt so that I can move around easily. I didn't. So I ended up pulling over my camcorder. I am so appreciative of the universe for, like, nothing major went wrong, but just always unhook your mics if you're doing a video so that you can move about easily and effortlessly. That's all I'm going to say. Again, America's Funniest Home Videos, oh my God. Anyway, so we've done all we're going to do with this guy for now. I'm going to, probably because the resin was starting to set up and it is sticky and tacky now, I'm going to leave it for a couple hours. I'm going to come back and mix up more resin, but not as much. If I have to do this in 3 or 4 stages at this point, I don't care, because I want it to be done right. And we'll carry on. We might add a few more flowers in it, just up and around the legs, but we'll get it sort of filling up and whatnot, and we'll carry on with it. But I was just bringing it back because it was just horrendous what I was going through. When it's time to carry on, we will be back. I'll see you then. All right, I think I have things somewhat under control again, which is going to be a good thing. Another thing I want to point out to you that I'm just noticing now with my turtle is the fact that, gotta stop grabbing things. At the back here, I didn't put any flowers in there, and I needed to do that. So I'm going to fill in with some of these leftover purple and white flowers that I have. But that's something to keep in mind too when you're doing. So I'm teaching you all kinds of things to watch for when you're doing something like this. You're going to want to get a 360-degree view to make sure you haven't missed any spots, as I have. I have this time only mixed up 100 mils of resin. I have put some aside for the beads to go in the feet. And now it doesn't matter because I've got this container. If everything goes sideways, doesn't matter because I can just throw it out at the end of the day. So let's get some of these white and purple flowers in. They're probably not going to need much. So I'll maybe just do 3 or 4 of each of them. Well, not 3 or 4. I won't take that many. So we'll just put those in. So yeah, earlier in the video, whew, I tell you. So, you know, I think of it this way. I've been working with resin for quite a while. I still do things wrong. I still get things going the wrong direction. So I really want anyone who's new to the game and has had, you know, things not work out properly, or yeah, just things not working out properly know that maybe every once in a while, maybe, not all, like I'm not going to say with everyone that, but there may be times where it just, yeah, you're got one thing going on and then all of a sudden, you know, you have things happen like what I did. Know that even someone like myself who's been doing this for a while, you know, I know, but every once in a while we forget, and that's okay. So I want to point that out, that to give yourself a break if things sort of start to go a little, you know, sideways. Do your best to remember for future. And if you don't, well, then you don't, and you try and remember for the time after that. So I just wanted to point that out to you, because I mean, I get frustrated with myself when I, you know, have things going sideways, and I'm thinking, but that's okay. That's okay. You know, it went sideways today, doesn't have to go sideways tomorrow. And I have to give myself a break and not get, you know, freaked out and frustrated by it. It's just, hey, it happened. And now I have to move on. Now, what's going to make it a little interesting for me getting these in is because the other pieces are sort of set it up. Moving them around is a little more of a challenge for me, but that's okay. Hope, you know, I have to hope too that, well, Natalie, don't do this again. Right? Anyway. So if it's a challenge, then it just helps you to come up with new and inventive ways, perhaps, of getting things where they need to be. So I'm going to take my time. I'm going to give myself some patience, because I still want this piece to turn out nicely. So there, we'll just put that there. I'm going to see if we can't slide another one of these white ones in here. Oops. I almost feel like I need to go out and get like a really decent pair of these little things, these tweezers. All right, there we go. And I guess a little bit at the side here. I might put a little bit more in. So yeah, definitely give yourself a 365 a 360 view on these things so that you can get in. Now, if you don't want it, again, that's a personal preference. How much do you want of these things? And yeah, just keep it in mind that you may want to be able to turn it around in order to, make sure you haven't missed too much. Again, personal preference. So I would like you to comment below if you laughed at me, which I'm totally cool with. I mean, if you had seen, it's bad enough I told you about what I had done, but if you'd seen, it was just so hopefully if you got a laugh out of what I told you that I had done, please comment below, because I'm totally cool with that. Yeah. Every once in a while, I think it helps us to learn to laugh at ourselves and not take things. We can't take life seriously. Like, it really, we're here for such a short period of time when you think about it. Like, time, and especially for me nowadays, time is just flying by. And I have spent pretty much my entire life taking myself way too seriously. And people have told me that, and I know it. I don't, it's one of those things. I know I do. So all I'm going to say is you got to have fun with this, and give yourself a break. Learn. Yeah. If you can walk away at the end of the day and go, I've learned something, then, that's a beautiful thing. Like, it really is. Give yourself a pat in the back for that. All right, so we'll turn this around. I might have to see about getting. Yeah, I gotta move that around. See about some other flowers, because I'm running out of sort of let me see. I'll put you in. You can go in there. And then maybe we'll put a couple of these in here. Just flop them in. You'll make it work. I think I am going to take one of these. Kind of big, so maybe I should clip you in half. In some ways, I'm kind of sorry I didn't throw a big one in. Another of the big flowers, but that's okay. We're just going to chop this in two. Alrighty. If that's, especially if it's resin, I don't want it on my scissors. Yeah, so know how to give yourself a break. And I say that so that I learn it from myself. It's almost like doing surgery in here. These little guys are they're sort of testing me with, oh, let go of me. Let go of my tweezers. That's why when I say about the tweezers, is because I just find it almost feels like there's little things on the inside at the bottom of these that just seem to grab onto things. And it's like, can you not do that? That's why I get a little frustrated with them. And sometimes if you don't like grab on really tightly, they, yeah, you just, now I'm also trying to the best of my ability, keep from getting too much up around the head, because I'd really like to get some more of the beads into the head, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that off. And any of these little pieces that stick up, we can easily fix that once the piece is done. Or you can try, like I'm going to, just to push it down in around the other piece. All right, and where are we going to put you? Where should we put you? Oops. Let's put it there. I think that's cool, because this will be the bottom, so we don't really need to make the bottom look, you know, really super pretty, because, well, you're not going to see it for the most part. So now what we're going to do is we are going to pour this in here. Actually, I should mix it up a little bit more, because all my big glitters on the bottom. Anyway, we'll have to deal with that. I'll just go back and forth and... All right, let's get this poured, because we've got to get it up level enough. And I'm going to be very careful, because there's a bit of a lip around the middle of this guy, and I want this resin to flow nicely into that so I don't have any air bubbles. And as I said before I stopped to let this sit up for a bit, that if I have to make more of this, I am totally cool with that. I'd rather have to make more resin than run into the same. To run in the same issue with the same project is not happening. And I think I'm going to let some of this flow out of there. And did I say I did 100 mils? If I did, I'm just going to repeat myself. I made about 100 mils this time around. Now, what I do want to see is What are we doing with the head? I'm not sure I'm going to be able to put any more of the beads in it. I don't think I'm going to be able to float any more in there, so I think I'll leave it as it is, because I don't know that I'll be able to flow it in there very easily, or keep them in there either. So I think we'll have to and it's probably a good idea too, as I was sort of thinking about that and looking at the head, because by stopping it allows some of this stuff to sort of find its own space, if you will. Now that reminds me, the tail, that I do want to keep an eye on. I'm just wondering if we've got, okay, so we've got a little bit of resin in the tail. I'm just going to tilt that a little bit, because I want the tail to come out okay. So we're going to tilt this. There we go. Just so it can get into the tail, just so I know. Tail's easy to fix, actually. If your tail goes a little sideways, that's easy to fix with UV resin. So if you sort of get an air bubble in it, that's easy to fix. And actually, I think the good thing that if I haven't made enough of this resin, while I'm making more of it, it'll have time to settle itself in, to any places it needs to. Now what I might see about doing, and just give me a second and I'll tell you, I just want to get this out. Alright. Now I do have extra in that little container, but I think what I'm going to do, because I'm not quite ready I don't have enough for the legs, because to have those stay where I want, I have to get more resin in this, so it'll stay where I want it to. So we'll take that stuff that's in the little container, which is hidden right now. Just put this off to the side. All right, throw that out. Okay, so we're going to take this. So I don't know. I don't know how many mils are in that at all. So let's add some more of this glitter. And we'll mix it up. And then what I probably will do is I'll just mix up my resin. What I have left that I need to mix up, I'll get everything in place and then I'll bring you back. Because you've seen how I mixed the the beads up previously, so I don't feel, or I don't think you'll need to sort of see that happen again. Alright, there's that done. So it was so interesting to me how I just get so focused in on what I'm doing. It's like I have nothing to say right now. And the reason I'm kind of going around like this is so I can get some of those bigger, chunkier pieces of glitter all over, not just sort of in one spot. Help to spread it out so we're not just, you know, really thick in one spot with it. All right. And I know I mentioned about the neck and what I was thinking of doing there. I might be out of luck now completely, but let me sort of clean this out, and then we'll talk a little bit about that, and then I will go off and do what I want to do and bring you back after that. All right, so put that in that container because we don't need that anymore. All right. So I had a bit of a thought of trying to, you know, maybe put something into the neck. But I think my window of opportunity with that is kind of gone. Unless what I do is I lift it up and tilt it this way. But I'm not sure I want to do that. So I am going to go off, make up a little bit more resin. I don't need a lot more, maybe 50 mils I'm thinking might do it if I need even that much. And then when I've got it all said and done, before we go to cover it up, I'll bring you back so you can see what I've done. See you in a bit. All right, I have got this all done up now. We are going to cover it up and let it sit for the 24 hours so it can get nice and solid. I am getting some air bubbles from the beads. That's totally cool, and I get that, you know, it's going to happen for a little bit. So I'll, you know, keep an eye on it, and I will pop any air bubbles that come up. I may still occasionally get some in and amongst where the flowers are, but again, that's understandable. And hopefully, fingers crossed, when we take this out, it'll look cool. We will be back in 24 hours to take this out of the mold. And yeah, I've got fingers crossed that it's going to look okay when it is all said and done, and that we have limited number of air bubbles. And I guess I'm really hoping that around the underside of the shell, that's where I really want to make sure that I don't have any air bubbles. Anyway, we'll see when it's time to take it out of the mold. I'll see you then. Well, I am ready to take this turtle out of its mold. I am really hoping that it sort of comes out the way I want it to. Don't we all? Isn't that the normal? You make something and you really hope it's going to come out the way you want it to, which I'm sure is true of pretty much anyone. So let's take a go at it. Get it. Now it is a little bit of a, I won't say finicky, but a little bit finicky getting it out. And I know when it comes to using ceramic resin, you really want to be careful. And I would let it sit for at least a day, only because you don't want the head breaking off or the tail. I don't think the legs would, but you know what? Sometimes it's better just to let things sit. Okay, oops. Hey, well, there you go. I broke the tail. That's okay. I know the tail is easily fixed. That I am aware of that. Very carefully get it over that paw. Like, if anyone knows what you call, I mean, I guess those are fins, but I don't know. I don't know the parts of a turtle. It's a turtle. There we go. Let's leave it at that. All right. So I'll turn that over. All right. I have some little spots that I have some overflow, but I can fix those up off camera. All right, so I did break the tail off. I'm going to have to just, here, I'm going to turn that upside down. I'm going to be a little bit of a stickler today. I'm normally not like that, but I know part of that tail is still in there, and I want to get it out before I forget, just in case. Come on. All right, I'll have to do that later. I'm not going to waste your time. There's a piece in there. So yeah, the tip of my tail, but I can fix that with UV resin. All righty, so that's what it looks like. I had hoped a little bit. Now I know that was a soft pink flower that I put in there, so it's not as bright as what some of the other ones are. Yeah, it's not as. It's definitely not as bright as I kind of hoped it would be. Now, as far as I do have a couple, like I have a big hole here, but again, I can easily fix that with UV resin. That's not a big deal. I think we're pretty good. Yeah, no, we're pretty good. I have an air bubble right here, so I could fill that with UV resin, so not a big deal. And I have one at the underside of that fin. Anyway, so there is our turtle. He might look better. I'm going to have to see what he looks like outside, or she looks like outside. I guess maybe more of a female because of the coloring. I think from like the shell perspective, that's, you know, I get a little concerned when I'm putting stuff like this in it, that I might get some air bubbles on the top. But I think we did okay. Like, I don't think there's anything... Yeah, I don't think there's anything major. I think we did a pretty good job with that. So I'll get my UV resin out. I'll fix up, you know, that big hole, which, you know, will look fine. I'll fix up the tail, which will be easy to do. But yeah, we don't look too bad. We're subtle. We're subtle. And I almost wonder too, if these guys here, if I should have pointed them up more, because really you're seeing the sides of them, not so much the coloring. But I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to see how it looks in the sun. And yeah, anyway, I know it's interesting for me. I do these videos and I get contemplating while I'm showing you the end result of whatever piece, and, you know, trying to think, so how could I make it better for the next time? What would I do differently? But I mean, it's par for the course, I think, when you're doing stuff like this. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of our turtle. I'm pleased that that the air bubbles, you know, are limited. That's brilliant. So definitely a good tip is pour your resin slowly, swirl it around a little bit. And when I say swirl, do that gently so that you know, don't get the air bubbles in it. Anyway, there we have it, Mr. Turtle. Thank you for watching. I look forward to any comments that you have on this video, any tips and tricks you have for myself or others. Thank you for coming along on this journey. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care and bye for now.